Today I'm going to show you what my mobile office looks like, and we're going to go pretty remote and cut through all the things I do when I do have to work outside of a controlled structure, but even then I still have a little bit of control. So we'll run through that in just a minute. Stay tuned. So today we are going to one of my favorite spots to work remotely. It truly is remote. It's technically in the middle of the desert. Well, not really, California desert. But we'll take you there. It's probably gonna take us about half an hour to get there.
Keep left.
And there's my navigation telling me to go left. So I'll see you guys again soon. Just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek at the beautiful drive over to this remote spot. We're gonna talk about my remote setup when I'm mobile. Show you all the ins and outs, all the little things that we do as remotepreneurs to be successful. I'll just let you guys enjoy this beautiful view for a little bit before we get on over to the spot. All right, guys, we've made it. This is the view, office view today we're gonna take a look at. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous desert, mountain, whatever you wanna call it. Parked the car right here, coffee on top, beautiful scenery. And this is probably the best demo I can give you of how I work 100% mobile. Yeah. First thing I want to let you know is it's pretty quiet out here, right? There's a car here you can see, but they come and go sometimes. One of the reasons why I chose it is because if I'm on a phone call, it's pretty quiet out here. But you might not have access to this kind of scenery, but you know, that's where the car comes in. I'm going to walk you through that as well, how I got that set up, from the gear to the setup to tools and stuff that I use when I'm 100% outside of the office. All right, so I'll see you back when I set up. Found a little hill here. There's my chair, bag. I'll talk about that in a minute. And this is the gorgeous view here that we're gonna work out of. So I'll see you back in just a moment. All right, guys, so we're gonna get started on the setup. Let's walk over here, and you can see that I've got here a Mont Blanc bag. I actually got this idea from Hugh Jackman. I was flying with him on the jet and saw this bag. Kind of sits everywhere, man. It's pretty funky. Sits everywhere, no matter where you put it. That's one of the reasons why I really like it. And when you open zippers, you know, you can't really see inside, so it's, you know, confidential. But anyhow, you can check that out. I really like it for traveling too. It's classy if you got to go see clients and stuff like that. All right, so the first thing is chair sitting on. You guys have seen before in other videos. I can put it in the description. This is just a standard table. You can buy this anywhere. This came with my car, but you can buy this 30, 40 bucks on Amazon, and you're good to go. I've also got an umbrella there. It gets too sunny, the sun starts to bother me. I buy Joe Shade umbrellas. They're like 20 bucks, and you're good to go there. So, gear. First thing, most important, laptop. It's a MacBook Pro. Everybody knows, I think by now, that I use Macs for a lot of reasons. Bring my second monitor, which is the iPad Pro. So I literally set these up like so. iPads now have the capability for you to use this as a second display, an absolute must. So I use that. And then because I'm in a kind of open space, I've done another video on the headsets that I use, but these over-the-ear ones from Bose, really good. I've already done a kind of short review on these. So go over my head to hear the audio. Of course, my phone, bottle of water, just put that under here, and you are pretty much good to go. A couple other accessories I bring if I need to do a lot of you know, graphic type work, or I'm reviewing documents, or who knows, just a lot of clicking around, and the trackpad gets annoying. I use a trackpad, but I generally use this. The only other thing I can recommend here is the battery pack. So I use this, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, Imuto. It's pretty big. It's got a little meter here, show you the charge. So if I'm out here for a long time and there's no power, as you can see here, I use this, lasts me all day, connects USB-C, it's got a rapid charger, and you're good to go. So sun's coming out a little bit here in Cali, so I'm gonna set up the umbrella and then start my day, start working. I'm gonna be quiet just for a minute so you can see the ambient noise around me. That was me adjusting my mic. So, good to go. It doesn't get any more remote than this. So let's get started. All right, so let's talk about how I structure my day. I usually start with the night before. I go through a list of agenda items that I've got complete for tomorrow. I've got usually a short, medium, long-term goal for every company, just on the high level aspect, but I also keep track of the details, and I'm gonna show you how I do that. I actually use Notes, standard app that comes with it. I use it a little bit differently than most people, but I find it overcomes a lot of challenges on, you know, kind of what you got to do on a day-to-day. So I start planning the night before, and usually I just run through the list and make sure that, you know, I'm not missing anything super important, or if I have to reprioritize some things, and then I load that in, make the changes on my phone, my Mac, or my iPad. Another reason why I say use Apple products, because they all sync up just automatically, and then go to bed and I wake up the next day. You guys might hear about all these multi-million dollar, you know, routines and you know, how to get better at this and that. Honestly, I'm living proof it doesn't matter. As long as you're consistent in your effort, you're organized, and you are able to work efficiently, you will succeed. That is the recipe for success. You know, it's not getting up at 4 in the morning. I mean, yes, it helps. You know, it's not, you don't have to follow every man's path or every woman's path to that and think you're going to get that result. That's one of the things that people fail to realize, is just because you follow someone else's routine doesn't mean you're going to get that successful. And so I'm not really showing you routines that I do. I'm showing you specific actions I take and decisions that I make to structure that path a little bit more narrow in the funnel. You may still do it a little bit differently. You may not be working out of a, you know, view like this. You might be working at a park or at a beach or whatever, but the concept is the same. But you know, it's not drink this potion or take this course on sales and all of a sudden your company's going to change. It's a lot bigger than that. All right, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about handling confrontation remotely. One of the things that people don't realize is when you're face to face with someone, there's a lot of body language you could read off of someone's kind of mood if they're paying attention, and your brain is processing this simultaneously as you're talking to this person. Unfortunately, on remote structures, you don't have that luxury. So it's very important that no matter what comes out of that person's mouth, it goes through what I call a remote filter. That filter to me is things like tone, pitch, circumstances. So if the tone of the person seems aggressive, the pitch sounds like they're just annoyed, and the circumstances is a question mark for you. You don't know the circumstances. You don't know what's going on in their personal life most of the time. So that's the last part that I always take into account. So what I usually do is, no matter what someone is saying to me on the phone and how aggressive they're getting, my first strategy is to use what I call, a very low, slow, deliberate response, which is something like, yes, I understand. It seems like, and then you kind of repeat back to them, and using the word "it seems like" takes the burden of blame off. And maybe that's all that person needs. But what you got to do at that point is let them do more talking. And the way you get someone to talk more is for them to feel that you're genuinely interested in the conversations. A lot of times people are communicating out of fear, out of anxiety, or just had a bad day. But it doesn't help your bottom line when you're dealing with the functionality of this kind of situation by, being combative and responding. I've made a ton of mistakes. I got bad days too. People call me, or we're on a web conference, and I kind of lay it out there, and never a good result, and you don't know what that person's walking away with. So that's the thing I would really harp on is make sure you de-escalate with a lower pitch kind of delivery, deliberate, slow delivery. Psychologically, what you'll do is you should be able to diffuse that situation and calm slowly. And when you use the word "it seems like," what you're doing is you're saying something that you have understood it to be, without saying "you are this" or "you are that" or "that's not my problem," which just escalates the situation further. I can't tell you how many times I've used this approach and technique with folks, and immediately, the truth comes out. "Oh, I'm really sorry, my dog died," or "I'm really sorry, my kid got kicked out of school," or "I got into a car accident yesterday." I mean, it's just stuff happening in our personal life, because generally speaking, humans are a pretty good species, and we're genuinely nice to each other when we don't have all these other stresses and anxieties. So when you're working remotely, it's really key that you clue in on these little things. That's why I recommend these types of headsets. That's why I recommend kind of controlling your space and your environment with ambient noise, because it's really important that you can hear clearly what that person is feeling and sensing. It's almost like another sense that you have to elevate from that. Once you've de-escalated that, and you've kind of used the "it seems" technique to kind of repeat back or make sure you understand, what you're also doing in the "it seems" moment, tell them what you're thinking it sounded like, but you're not placing the blame. So "it seems like you're angry because I did this," or "so-and-so did this," or "this didn't happen." You're basically saying it without making it so direct, and then you get that person to talk more. And then at that point, you shut up and you listen. If that person wants to talk for 10 minutes straight, you let them talk for 10 minutes straight, because the more they talk, the more their truth comes out. And when you're working remotely, and I'll get into this kind of a little bit more when you're selling remotely, these things are so key into how people are talking, and so that's one thing that I really do is making sure that when you're talking to someone remotely, you could do that. If you've got the webcam on, you can kind of see if they're moving around on the screen, if they're doing other stuff. But generally, when webcams are on, they're kind of talking direct to you. That's a really important thing to understand. Is sometimes people don't want the cameras on, not because they don't want to communicate, because they're embarrassed about their circumstances, their house, their environment, the way they look, the way they feel. They just didn't want to get ready, and so putting that added pressure on them is a psychological thing that will actually reduce the amount of information you get from someone. If someone is got their camera off and they're talking to you, you'll probably get a lot more information out of them than you thought you would. So keep that in mind. One of the other techniques that I use a lot in working remotely is having the ability to understand what they are saying to me without kind of me confronting them about it. So sometimes people talk in code, right? They're dropping hints that these things are going on. And I sometimes, there's a perfect example of a car going by. I'm not sure how much noise that made, but that was the first car that's gone by in about half an hour, 45 minutes. So you get the point about structuring your environment and distractions. Anyhow, so when people are dropping hints, it's important that you clue in on those hints. And sometimes you may necessarily not even make it a point to say anything, but just let it register and take those notes. I take really bad notes. I used to take really good notes, but I got really bad at taking notes, and that's probably my biggest downfall. So much so that now if I need to take notes, I'll bring somebody else on the call with me to take the notes, because that's a key component. When you're talking to people remotely and you're documenting how the conversation went, you know, all the other stuff, it's good to have it all in one place in a CRM, which I'll do another video on how to structure kind of your CRM. But those are just a few little tips on when you're having conversations with people remotely, stuff to watch out for. I'll be dropping these things here and there in the videos as I kind of see fit and the circumstances come. But I thought it'd be a great thing to kind of elaborate on a little bit here for you today as I'm working remotely from here. All right. Until next time, onwards and upwards.